Hey y'all, happy Friday. We're not going to waste much time because we got quite a bit of information to get through. And this is an extremely important story. It's actually really disappointing to see the fact that people are afraid to talk about this kind of stuff because of the religion aspect of it, when this story is an evolving story that needs eyes on it. There's like two of us that have talked about it. The true crime community doesn't want to touch this because it involves a little bit of religion in it. And this is really, in my opinion, one of an extremely important situation to cover. Of course, this is right in my wheelhouse, though. And so thankfully, other people had tagged me, sent me this information. I actually saw it on the news locally because it's local to me, unfortunately, too. So we're going to hop into it. I am going to play a quick 30-second countdown. Hope the notifications for some people go out, and then we're going to hop right in. All right, for those of you guys that don't know what we're going to be talking about, there is the 16-year-old missing child from Arizona. He was last seen getting on an airplane in Arizona. He landed in Idaho, but Nate Easton of East Idaho News did a wonderful breakdown of this. So we are going to use his content and walk it through because this interview was extremely spot on, and I don't think there's anything better than to play the father's own words. So before the comments even start of, didn't they voluntarily go? Yes. His wife, so Ben Thibaudeau is the gentleman's name, who is the father of Blaze. Blaze is a 16-year-old minor from Arizona. They are part of the LDS faith. However, his mother, who goes by the name of Spring, she has been in contact with people like Julie Rowe over the last few years. And has some extremist beliefs. Not only does she have those extremist beliefs, there's also those extremist beliefs that are connected to her brother, which is Ben's brother-in-law, and unfortunately their daughter, Abby. Abby is 23 years old. She is married. So we are going to hear from not only the father of Blaze, but we are also going to hear from Abby's husband. So there's a lot to process in this. I really encourage you guys, if there's anything I've ever asked you to do, please share. We need eyes on this, especially in the Idaho, Washington, Oregon, Canada area. This is extremely important because it's an evolving situation that is currently going on. And if you know anything about this extremist belief systems and how this ends up, unfortunately, we do not need another JJ and Tylee situation on our hands. And these are very similar belief systems that those people have. This is in my opinion, a very dangerous situation. I think people think we're just trying to cut on LDS religions or we're against this no, that has nothing to do with it until people start opening their goddamn eyes and their ears and realizing that these type of extreme belief systems harm our children. They are not helping anybody. You are entitled to your beliefs. However, you cannot harm children because of those beliefs and think that you're doing God's work. That is not how this works. Hello, everybody coming in. Yes, Jennifer, this is an extremely troubling story, especially this one bothers me so bad. And to see that nobody is talking about it, I'm one of the first channels besides the Seawick, which I can take or leave some of his content. However, he knows this family. There is not hardly anybody talking about it because they don't want to touch it because of the religion aspects. These are important stories to cover. They are so important because these belief systems affect so many people outside of just that extremist beliefs. This kid is 16 years old. A court has absolutely ordered that he is to be returned to his father. So just before that starts, he is 16. He didn't willingly do anything. They, in my opinion, manipulated him by talking about going on a birthday trip. And he got in the car. Now, do I hope that he gets away? Abso-freaking-lutely. Now, there is some extremist beliefs in here that we will break down and talk about a little bit later, but let's just get to it. Okay. Because this is important and people need to know what is going on. And this is stuff that actually needs shared. This is, if I've ever asked you to share anything, it's going to be this live stream. All right, let's go. Okay. Now, again, this is the father of the missing child. This is Ben. He is LDS, but he does not conform to the extremist beliefs, but he will break some of that down for you. Now, this hold on. Let me go back just a quick screenshot. I want to put that on the screen again. Okay, this right here is the man that they are with. This is Blaze's uncle. Oh shit, it's not the right screen. Hold on. Hold on. Why did it switch? Hold on. Okay, this is the face right here. This is who they are with. This is who picked him up in Boise. This is the brother-in-law of Ben's. This is the uncle of Blaze, who also conforms. You don't have sound? Are you guys back? We got sound now? You got sound? Yes. Okay. Nothing when the video's playing? Hold on. Let me try again.
Brother-in-law.
Can you hear that? Did you hear that one? Did you hear that little blip? I need to make sure you guys have sound so you can hear it. Okay, good. Okay, perfect. All right, this is the uncle of Blaze. This is the gentleman who picked them up from the airport in Boise, Idaho. This is the face that you need to be looking at right now because he is the uncle, the brother-in-law. This is Spring's brother. Yes, he's an adult. Again, they can freely go wherever they want. Yet this face right here needs to be seen because this is who the child is with.
My wife's brother was waiting there to pick them up. I raced home. I met my son-in-law, Braden, at my house to get more details.
That's all, yeah.
He said that his wife, Abby, had asked him to come home early for lunch because she was not feeling well and needed to go to the doctor. So he came home at about 10:30 a.m.
We are going to listen to Braden's statements too as soon as we are done hearing from Ben. Braden is his son-in-law who is married to Abby, which is the 23-year-old daughter of Spring and Ben.
He had noticed the Ring doorbell on their apartment had been taken off. And he thought that was strange. So he knocked on the door and Abby let him in. And she was in the process of packing luggage with all kinds of winter gear, survival gear, camouflage. And he asked her obviously what she was doing. And she said, "We need to go. We need to leave now." And she explained where they were going and that they wanted him to come, that Brooke had bought tickets for all of them, and that they needed to leave immediately.
The uncle's name is Brooke Hale, for those of you that are wondering. His name is Brooke Hale.
He resisted and said, I do not want to go. My daughter was emotional. Braden was emotional. They called Brooke. Brooke tried to persuade him. shared some dreams with him, shared some scriptures with him, told him he needed to be like Zoram, who
shared some dreams with him. Now, remember, Julie Rowe and all of her predictions and her spiritual beliefs and energy healings and stuff like that. Yeah, this is where it gets a little bit. This is an extremely scary situation. I feel so bad for this father.
Followed Lehi and his family into the wilderness and to just have faith. Braden felt very uncomfortable. He, in the moment, just was so shocked. He said that he needed to get out of there.
He said he needed to get out of there. He was trying to get her to not go, his wife, Abby.
He walked out of the apartment, went down the stairs, went and sat in his car that was parked in the apartment parking lot. He noticed that my wife was there in her car with Blaze in the front seat. As he sat in his car, he saw Abby come down with all the luggage. They put the luggage into the back of the car and they drove away. This all happened around 11 a.m. Arizona time.
So then Abby and Blaze are your two kids.
Abby's 24 and Blaze is 16. Okay. Yes, they both are my kids.
And their uncle told.
She is 24. Excuse me. I said 23 earlier. She is 24 years old and Blaze is 16.
Them to leave Arizona and come to Idaho.
My wife, Abby, and their uncle.
Sassy since birth. Some of it is, some of it isn't. Depends on which part of it is. These people absolutely have, yes, there is a religious aspect of this. There is extreme belief systems tied with this. Some people prep and are just preppers just because, especially within the LDS faith, it's something that is taught within the LDS faith to have food storage and so on and so forth. This is an extremist belief off of that. This is not your typical LDS prepping stuff. This is the extreme belief systems that are brought on by people like Julie Rowe, Tom Harrison, people like that, if that makes any sense.
All believe in this rapture and this doomsday scenario that's about to happen according to the beliefs they have. And they three made the decision that now was the time to go gather. And Blaze's role in all of this, they believe he is something called a Davidic servant. So they felt like they need to protect him, and they needed to take him to this undisclosed location where he would receive his calling and understand his role in the second coming and the Savior's return to the earth. So that's how Blaze is involved in this. They see him as this Davidic servant.
We will get into the Davidic servants and what that all means and what it looks like compared to typical LDS beliefs later on, but it's important right now to get this child's face out there so people are aware of what is going on.
That plays a significant role in the Savior's return.
Kiki.
And as far as these beliefs, Ben, as far as you know, I mean, has your wife been talking about this for, the past few weeks or months, or is this suddenly out of the blue, she starts saying this and off they go?
So back in 2015, my wife got involved pretty heavily with Julie Rowe.
Ding, ding, ding. Julie Rowe. Hey, you. Julie Rowe, it's about time you get some attention that you so well deserve, because Julie Rowe, if you remember back to the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, that name was very familiar within that. Well, Julie has not stopped. Julie was excommunicated from the LDS Church in 2019. However, the church has never come out and condemned really solidly this belief system that these people of offshoots of LDS Church have. In my opinion, the LDS Church has kind of almost in a way just let it go on. They don't want to deal with it. They just keep going on. However, their own congregation is being harmed and divided by belief systems like Julie Rowe and many others. Now, if you think back to the Tim Ballard and the psychics, Julie Rowe is about the same exact type of person. In fact, there was connections with Julie Rowe and that whole situation too. It is an extremely dangerous situation.
So much that she was asked to be a scribe for some of these revelations that Julie Rowe was receiving. There was some energy healings that took place. It concerned me a great deal.
Energy healings. Chalk that in the back of your memory.
I expressed that to her, and we actually, I requested that we go in and talk to our ecclesiastical leader, a bishop, to talk about it. The bishop asked her, or essentially told her, she needed to stop if she wanted the marriage to survive. Spring stopped following Julie Rowe at that time, but I think she was still indoctrinated with a lot of what was taught and shared.
So their LDS bishop told her if she wanted to save her marriage, she needed to stop following these people, because it completely contradicts their extreme belief systems, such as visions of glory, things like that, completely contradict the Book of Mormon and their actual doctrine. Like, it does not go hand in hand. These are offshoots. Again, please understand that. And yes, this is a child missing out of Arizona, last seen in Idaho. However, it could be anywhere at this point in time. The undisclosed location where he was taken is still not known. It is an evolving situation that has just been going on over the last few days.
My wife's always been fascinated with the end of days, the last times. She's recently been researching significantly an author by the name of Abraham Gileadi, who purports to understand the book of Isaiah. My wife brought my daughter into this about 2.5 years ago. And
the daughter, 24-year-old Abby, was brought into this belief system too, along with her mom and her uncle.
They started having dreams, and they started sharing dreams, and both felt like they had the gift to interpret dreams. They brought my brother-in-law into this about 1.5 years ago, when he was going through a pretty significant crisis in his own marriage. And he just has taken it and run with it. But yes, my wife has been involved in these types of things in one way or another for many years. She's always been a church attending, a temple worthy member of our church, and served in callings. But on the side, she's had this hobby of researching the second coming and signs of the times and the end of the world.
Conferences, Autumn, is basically the only thing. They were attendance at conferences. I don't know if they had direct communication beyond that, but they shared the same belief system in the same circles.
Okay, so when she took off, though, were you surprised that she took it this far, or was it kind of that's kind of along the path she was going?
When she was into the Julie Rowe stuff, she started spending significant amount of money on food prep. She was buying a lot of winter gear, even though we live in Arizona. She was buying tents. She was convinced that that the saints would have to gather in the last days up into the mountains, and she was preparing for that. I thought there was a possibility that she could eventually leave and take off with another group. I'm totally surprised that she took my son Blaze, and I'm even more concerned because Blaze has never subscribed to any of this. He is not. He is in no way a supporter of anything she's ever believed. He is your prototypical teenager that all he wants to do is hang out with friends and be on his phone. He's an athlete. He's on the football team. He's worked so hard to be on that football team. They still have games left this season. There's no way that he would have gone along with this. So they've coerced him, possibly sedated him. He's probably maybe been threatened.
So they all believe that Blaze has this calling, but Blaze doesn't conform to any of these theories or extremist belief systems. And this is why the fear comes in.
I did hear from Braden that Braden asked if Blaze was going. And apparently he was told that they told Blaze he was going on an early birthday vacation. But obviously that would have been, Blaze would have figured out really quickly that there is no vacation. So I'm very concerned about that piece, that my son is in danger and that his uncle maybe is could be the aggressor in this if things don't go the right way.
Yeah, and that's why, everyone involved here except your son is an adult, so they're obviously free to do what they want. But when you have a 16-year-old, is there any sort of custody arrangement between? You're still married to Spring, right?
I'm still married to her. There was a petition filed for a dissolution last week, between her and I. She's been wanting to divorce me, but she did not want to be the one to file because it's public record in Arizona. So we had been separated, living at different locations in the same city. But as
Who does that sound familiar to? Anybody remember?
strange as it sounds, we've had a great relationship recently.
He had to move out of the house.
Without saying too much, the best relationship you could have as a married couple. We've been getting along, but the amount of time she spent talking to Abby and Brooke on the phone, the frequency, we're talking hours a day, multiple times a day, for the last year and a half. And I would periodically check my AT&T phone records. They were always talking to each other, morning, midday, night. Because of the petition for dissolution that I had filed, I was able to get an emergency motion from a judge from the Superior Court of Arizona issuing an order to return Blaze to me immediately and invoking the ability for law enforcement to get involved, to locate him and return him to me as the sole custody parent right now. So that order is in effect as of the 24th. That was issued by the judge. I've been working with Gilbert Police. We filed a missing child report. His name's been entered into the NCIC.
He is entered into the NCIC, and he is working hand in hand with Gilbert Police. This is all, like I said, it is a evolving situation that is going on. But thankfully, he was able to get a judge to petition, or he was able to petition the court and get sole custody. So he is listed as a missing child. It is not something over custody, anything like that at this point in time. This kid is in real danger. Again, that is my opinion, but the fear in this man's voice and in his eyes should speak volumes, because this is a very real situation. And we've seen how much damage these extremist belief systems have on so many families over the last how many years. Look at the Frankie situation. Look at the Vallow situation, the Daybell situation. Look how many people have been harmed in these situations. And again, you have a 16-year-old child who does not conform to these extremist beliefs, who was manipulated into going with them because he thought it was a birthday trip. However, the dad said he could have even been sedated to get in the car. He is worried about the kid trying to defend himself, get away from this situation, because he does not conform to these beliefs, and then therefore him being harmed.
And we're working on a few other things, like an Amber Alert and some other things to get federal law enforcement involved as well.
Okay, so you have sole custody of him, and your ex, or not your ex, your wife, she knows about the temporary custody that the judge issued.
No, because they left on Monday.
Oh, okay.
And
that was issued the day they left, or the day after.
It was issued on Tuesday. We got the ruling from the judge.
Okay, so is your wife not answering the phone? Are they kind of off the grid, so to speak?
Completely off the grid. I believe Brooke has his phone. I contacted Boise police Monday night, and they routed me to the police that was assigned to the airport. And they were able to pull video footage, and they saw Abby, my daughter, my wife, and Blaze come off of the airplane and leave the airport and get into the white SUV that Brooke is driving. They did see a phone in Abby's hand, so I think Abby has her phone. I think Brooke has his phone, but in an exchange message we were privy to on another device, Abby mentioned that Spring doesn't have her phone, and that Brooke was instructing Abby to keep Blaze away from her phone and make sure he didn't know any passwords to her phone. So they're completely off the grid in terms of communicating with us, but I think they have phones, Brooke and Abby.
So there is a hope that potentially they could be tracked and traced to return this 16-year-old. Again, Abby, Spring, Brooke, they're adults. They can do as they wish. There's a 16-year-old in real danger here.
They could have other phones. Do you know why Idaho, or do you think they've gone elsewhere, flown into Boise and then gone somewhere else?
I think they may have gone into Oregon, but I think they're staying close to Idaho. I don't know why Idaho. I remember years ago, my wife, when she was into Julie Rowe stuff, I think Julie had mentioned something about Idaho being a safe place to gather, but I don't know. I don't know why Idaho.
So those of you that are in the Idaho, Oregon, Washington, Montana, all of this vicinity up in that area, Colorado, Wyoming, all of it, Utah, please share this out. Please share the news articles with this child's face on them. It is extremely important. If they are spotted, they need to be called in to local law enforcement and report that you've seen this missing child. We've got to get his face out there, because this kid, again, I'm going to say it once more, this child is in real danger.
Are you worried for your son's safety?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I fear for his safety, especially my uncle doing something to him. If my son is contentious or rebellious or belligerent, I fear that my brother-in-law would restrain him or do something that would incapacitate him. Because my brother-in-law, when he left notes for his children saying he was not coming back and that something amazing was going to happen.
This is where the fear comes in right here. He is worried about the brother-in-law. The brother-in-law did, which is Brooke Hale, left notes for his children. He also took $50,000 in cash with them, and he has no desire on returning. That is the fear.
Very soon, with the return of the Savior, and he essentially wrote a last will and testament and divided out all his assets. He moved money into his children's accounts and to his wife's account, who's actually going through a very contentious divorce from. So he basically liquidated everything and divvied that up and told where he wanted all his assets to go. So I'm very concerned. Yes.
Wow. And was that within the past week or so that he did that?
He left those notes on Monday. That's when they discovered them, when I called them and said, hey, do you know what's going on? Do you know what happened to Abby and Brooke and Blaze and Spring? And they immediately went over to the house he was staying at, and he had left notes.
Wow. Yeah, I can understand why you would be worried. What about finances for your wife? I mean, if they're all on the run, are they sufficient enough to be able to last a couple of months if they're traveling, or do you think that money's going to run out? Has there been any use of her debit or credit cards that you know of?
So we think Brooke took about $50,000 in cash. My wife did not take any money. She does have credit cards, but that I don't have access to. But I don't suspect that she would try to use any of those. She didn't try to take any money out of our shared savings account or use our shared credit cards. Abby did withdraw about $4,000 in cash out of her and her husband's account and drained that account and spent over $1,000 on all this survival gear. So I think Brooke's been planning for a while. I think he's the one that's the financer. I think he's the one deciding where they go, where they stay. So yeah, I think they have the financial means to be on the run for a while if they want to.
Wow. What can the public do to help?
Look for a white Lexus SUV with pink tow hooks on the front.
That's a very important factor right there. A white Lexus SUV with pink tow hooks on the front of it. That is a very distinct marking. And if you know what tow hooks are, if you don't know what tow hooks are, I can show you. I think most of you know what tow hooks are. That will stand out to somebody. So please keep your eyes open. I know we have a lot of people, especially I have a lot of friends and family in that area, so I will be sharing it out majorly.
We presume there's a dealer license plate on the back of that vehicle. It's a Lexus GX, I think 470, but it's been outfitted for off-road, so it has big 33-inch tires and a lift. And we think that they're commuting in that still. We don't think they're hunkered down in the mountains. None of them like the cold. They're not outdoorsy people, so they don't have survival skills. Yeah, they're not survival people that way.
And do you think your son would try to get away or call for help, or if he's in the mental state to do so? You know, if you mentioned that they might have drugged him or something. I mean, is your son,
absolutely,
or is he going to try to get along with them?
No, he would say, "This is stupid. Get me out of here. I'm not doing this anymore." I'm sure they have to restrain him if they go anywhere to a public space. I'm positive of that.
This is what is so scary, because he's a 16-year-old who just wants to be a 16-year-old and does not conform. And when you don't conform in these type of situations, that's when the real fear sets in. And I know some of you are probably thinking, oh, it's no big deal. You know, people have extremist beliefs. No, this is a big deal. If you look at all the people that have been harmed from these type of extremist beliefs, you have to open your eyes and realize this is real fear from this family, that Blaze could absolutely, very likely be in danger.
And I mean that Brooke would probably do that, and potentially Abby. So absolutely, I think Blaze would want to get away. Absolutely, no doubt in my mind.
Are there any areas then where you guys are focused on, like maybe a search? I know you're out kind of doing your own investigating and sleuth work here in Idaho. But any areas that you want to make the public aware of, at least at this point, where you think they might be versus others?
Western Idaho, Boise area, Coeur d'Alene. On the
Coeur d'Alene. Y'all, this is like my home stomping ground. This is too close to home for me, and it just makes me feel so uneasy, because that is very vast, remote area, and they could go anywhere. And sadly, up there, a lot of people do kind of live off the grid and don't pay attention to the news. So he could be seen and people not even be aware. So that's why, again, I'm encouraging you guys. There's news articles out there. There's not very much right now. Please share. Please help get his face out there. We need to bring Blaze home. And hopefully Abby too. Hopefully Spring too. Hopefully they'll all be unharmed. But Blaze is the minor in this, did not go willingly.
The other side of the border with Oregon, I think that's where we feel right now like things could be, where things could be going on.
All right. Well, I hope that, you know, this ends peacefully and that your son's back home very soon. How are you taking all of this? I mean, your life just has had like a bomb dropped on top of it. How are you doing?
Look, I have 5 children. So Blaze is wrapped up into this. Abby, my daughter's wrapped up into this. I have a son on a mission in Africa right now. I have 2 daughters. It's I'm just trying to stay strong for them, obviously, but it's hard. It's really hard. It's really hard. The literature they've been reading and the books and all the studying has just taken them down these dark rabbit holes and just has completely corrupted their brain. They're all good people. They're all wonderful people, but getting into these dark topics has really corrupted them in a really horrible way. But they genuinely are just loving, kind people before any of this unfolded.
Right. Ben, who is the main police agency? Are you working with Gilbert, Boise, both?
Gilbert.
I came to Boise because I thought I could work directly with them, but they were unwilling to assist. and were not able to help me. So I went and was able to get Gilbert Police involved, and they're the main agency right now. They have a detective assigned to this.
Okay. And how long do you plan to stay in Idaho?
I don't know. I bought a one-way ticket here. I don't know. I mean, I have a full-time job back home, but I'm willing to lose that job to stay here. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm so
I'm
sorry.
just going day by day and just trying to feel things out, and but I can't answer that for you.
Right. Well, to have a 16-year-old not be without his phone, I can't imagine. I mean, if he's like a normal 16-year-old.
Sorry, y'all.
Yeah, and we have information that they, at least Brooke and Abby, were planning this potentially as on Sunday. My son actually went to school on Monday, and my wife pulled him out at 10 a.m. ish.
He was pulled out of school early that day, and well, Ben was at work. Sorry all about the noise right quick, but I'm going to let this finish playing. Hold on just a moment. I'm going to show you pictures of
So I think my wife,
this is a good picture of him. He has longer kind of surfer blonde hair. He's a very handsome young man. He has a very strong jawline. That is something that I noticed about him. He definitely does not look just 16 years old. He definitely looks older than 16. That is also something I wanted to note, because he absolutely could be passed by. If he has a hat on, they could have cut his hair, anything of that nature. I did pull up his missing flyers that I will show here in a moment too. Let's finish through this.
Left in haste, but yeah, there's no way he's going along with this. There's absolutely, positively no way. I know my son, and so do my children. There's no way he's doing this on his own free will.
You mentioned something about an early birthday gift. When is his birthday?
November 8th.
Okay, so he's turning 17 on November 8th.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Oh man, I'm so sorry. I do want to help though get the word out and hope that the more people see this and talk about it. What in case your wife should see this, or your son, or your brother-in-law? What do you say to them? What would you say to them?
Just come back. We love you. Nothing's going to change about any of our relationships with you. It's never too late to just say, you know what, maybe we made a mistake. We're not going to judge you. We want to help you and support you heal. And there's no anger or hate. We just want you back and safe, and we want to be with you.
All right, so that is the first stream. That is from the father, Ben Thibaudeau. He is the father of Blaze. Just a reminder who that is. Now I'm going to go over here. Sorry about that weird noise that popped off. It's the news channel here. Give me a second. It's going to do it again. Those stinking. Okay. Share this tab instead. Okay, you guys got that. This is from our local Gilbert. This is 12 News here locally. To me, it says an investigation is underway after a teenager from Gilbert was potentially taken out of the state in alleged custody case.
Because we understand that
all these pop-ups. Ugh, they're so annoying. You guys still seeing what I'm seeing? Okay. Just as long as you guys are still seeing it. According to a Facebook post from the department, 16-year-old Blaze Thibaudeau is believed to have been taken out of Arizona by his mother, Spring. Same last name. The pair are believed to be traveling with two family members. East Idaho News reported that Blaze and his mother were last seen near Boise, Idaho. The 12 News I-team is working to bring you more information on the case. Anyone with information on Blaze's whereabouts is asked to please call the Gilbert Police Department at 480-503-6500. Again, Gilbert Police Department, 480-503-6500. If you suspect you have seen him, this is the picture I really want you guys to see. Hopefully this pulls up for you guys. Okay, there it is. This is on Gilbert Police Department's Facebook page for those of you that are wanting to find out more information. This is, he, again, notice the jawline, and he's kind of almost got a wave to his hair. Granted, again, he could have his hair cut. He could be in a ball cap, anything of that nature. It's a lot colder in Idaho than it is in Arizona, and they're not acclimated to that weather. So probably covered up if he is able to be seen. This is the child we are looking for. All right, now we're going to go into the statement given by Abby's husband, Braden. This is the next one. This again is from Nate Eaton. Nate Eaton, I called him Easton earlier. Nate Eaton has covered all of these cases in Idaho, starting with JJ Vallow and Tylee. He covered so much of this in depthly, and I can only imagine how much. Oh, hold on, Revival. Let me tell you. Does it say on here? I don't think it says on this one. I'll look well and get those stats right quick, Revival. I have them somewhere. Give me a moment. I'll get them for you. I'm going to start playing this. Now, again, this is Braden, the husband of Abby. Abby is Blaze's older sister.
Still in shock, honestly.
Thank you, Lorraine. 6'2".
I guess this hasn't, parts of it have started to feel real for me. Emotion is more and more setting in, and but honestly still in shock that we're in this situation as a family.
So take me back, Braden, to, was it Sunday or Monday when your wife said that you guys needed to leave?
Yeah. So it was a very normal weekend for us. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, nothing was wrong. It was a normal weekend for us. Date nights, everything of those sorts of things. It wasn't until Monday morning that I got ready, woke up, showered, went to work, that I got a call about 9:54 a.m. from my wife telling me that she needed to go to the hospital, that it was an emergency, and that I needed to come home as soon as possible. And so I hurried, rushed home, knocked on the door. I noticed that my Ring camera that we have on the outside of our apartment door was taken down. When my wife opened the door, the apartment was a mess. She had gone and purchased a bunch of hunting, utility, camping gear from a local Sportsman's Warehouse. And in utter shock, she told me that it's time to go, that it's time for us to leave, and that I need to go with her.
And what did you think?
In that moment, I was just baffled. Over the last year and a half, I know that my wife, my mother-in-law, and her uncle had been having dreams and witnesses that the end times are near, that Jesus is going to come again, which is a foundational belief that I have as a Christian. And as things have been happening, I could see in the world that it's not a great place. But never did I ever expect this to happen. My wife, 6 or so months ago, mentioned to me, she was like, Braden, if there was ever a time that we needed to go, would you be willing? And my response to her was yes. I mean, if we were to be invaded by another country or our lives were in jeopardy, I would obviously not be in Phoenix and in my apartment. I would leave.
Again, he's in Phoenix.
Thinking that's what she meant by that. But Monday morning was a complete shock to me as she told me that it was time to go.
So where did she say that you all needed to go?
She, in that moment, I was like, what are you going to do? Like, this is crazy. Where are you going? And she mentioned to me that her mother and her brother they had bought me a plane ticket, that we were going to go to the Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix, and that we were flying to Boise at it was about 10:30 when all this happened. She said that we need to leave by 11. So we had about 30 minutes, that we needed to get everything packed, and that we were flying from Sky Harbor to Boise, and that her uncle would be picking us up there. She wouldn't tell me where we were going after that. I questioned her a bunch. Where are we going? Where are we going after that? And she said, I can't tell you unless you go. And so I couldn't get anything else out of her after that.
So she was purposely withholding the information of the plan ahead of the time, because they weren't going to let anybody know unless they were with them where they were even headed.
So Braden, a lot of people believe the second coming and that it might be, you know, happening soon, that, you know, to be prepared and have emergency supplies and food and whatnot. But do you think that your wife, had she had more extreme beliefs about this in recent months or years, or was this kind of all of a sudden?
Bewitched, yes. In fact, in 2015, spring, the mother of Abby and Blaze, the two missing children, had started following a lot of these extremist belief systems and had gotten really in with Julie Rowe. So there has been energy healings and visions and so on and so forth. However, recently, in order to save her marriage to Ben, she was encouraged by an LDS bishop, because they are LDS, to stop with those belief systems to save her marriage. He had thought she had stopped following Julie. However, these belief systems were still present. I don't think anybody really knows if they're still in contact with Julie fully or not, but yes, it is definitely more of a Julie Rowe type of situation.
She's saying this to you?
It was gradual. When we first got married, it was probably 6 or 7 months after we got married that she had this first dream and shared it with her mother, and they started working that direction. At that time, we had bought a bunch of food storage. My dad worked for a food storage company in Utah. And so we bought a bunch, about 2 years worth of food storage, which I was comfortable doing. Obviously, I think preparedness is something that we should strive for.
Now, again, like I said before, that is a typical Mormon way of life. They are big into food storage, preparation. They actually have warehouses. They have their own farms. They have their own canneries. Their members are encouraged to work in these canneries and volunteer their times and so on and so forth. So it is something that is taught in the typical LDS religion, but these type of extremist belief systems step outside that typical doctrine of the Mormon church and go to extremes again. So it's kind of a here and there, like some of it's kind of normal for the LDS faith and the other ones are very extreme belief systems.
But over time, it started to get more and more, for lack of a better term, radical. It started to get more deep. She connected with a bunch of different individuals. I don't know if she actually had talked to them, but had watched a bunch of different individuals, evangelical pastors throughout the country, that were prophesying or were having dreams and witnesses of the second coming being nigh or near. Mm-hmm. And I think through those videos, through frequent communication with her mother and her uncle, and it just over time, it's continued to start spiraling down and down, and to the point where Monday morning, she said it's time to go.
And you obviously decided not to go. So what did you say to her? Like, I'm staying?
Another thing I want to point out about this type of extremist belief system is there is a lot of paranoia in these type of communities. So the people who kind of conform to this extreme belief systems, they are extremely, in my opinion, paranoid. They are paranoid of people watching them. They're paranoid of people knowing where they're at. They're paranoid of things that just don't make sense. Again, in my opinion, sometimes it bounces into like the paranoia of mental illness that you see with that. But if you are to see these people, please just call law enforcement. Do not try to go and rescue and be a hero. These people are very paranoid of worldly people. We are seeing even their fellow LDS members who don't conform to this belief system are seen as worldly in their views. And we are evil and dark, light and dark. And they judge people off of that. So please do not approach. Please just call law enforcement. That is another thing I wanted to say, because they are extremely paranoid. And that is something that paranoia freaks me out in regards to situations like this, because there is a lot of reason for fear in this situation.
Or how did the next few hours play out?
Nate, you go home to your wife. I presume that you're married. Yeah. I love her. She's loved my life. And she comes in and says, it's time to go. And I'm not coming back. It's one of those.
Another key right there. Braden is Abby's wife, or Abby's husband, who is Abby's 24 years old. She told him flat out, I'm not coming back. they have no point of returning. So that right there, along with Brooks' statements that he doesn't intend on coming back, and the letters he wrote to his children, the emptying of the assets, all of those things, that is very concerning, especially when they have a 16-year-old minor with them who has been court ordered to be returned to his father. This is a very real situation that needs to be talked about.
Experiences where part of you is just like, I can't let you go. I have to go with you, even if it makes no logical sense, because that's who you love. It's everything that I have. She's the only person I spend time with. But deep down inside of me, I knew that this couldn't be, that the world is going to continue to keep spinning. We can't leave what we have here in Phoenix. And whatever comes from this, I have to be here. In that moment, I said, take whatever you want, whatever you need, you can go, but I can't go. I even spoke to her uncle on the phone. She said, here, talk to my Uncle Brooke. And in that conversation, he shared various scriptures with me, basically telling me that I will receive a witness after the trial of my faith, and to trust God and trust that this is what his plan is, and that I'm a part of this with them. I'm supposed to be one of the 5 that's with them. I told him I needed to think about it. I hung up the phone.
One of the 5 that's with them. It's Abby, Blaze, Spring, and Brooke. Who is going to be the 5th now?
Very emotional with my wife. I told her I just can't do it. I can't do it.
Absolutely.
I need to get out of here if your mother and your brother are coming, because if I'm here, they're gonna know what's up. And so I was helping her throw some stuff in carry-ons and weigh it, and I had to just leave the apartment and go sit in my car and let everything play out from there.
So then her mom and brother, who's 16, showed up, and then they all went together to the airport.
Yeah, they loaded up the suitcases in my mother-in-law's car, and then they took off to the airport. Yes.
Is that the last time you spoke with your wife?
Yeah, I had sent her a few text messages just saying, I love you. I can't believe this is happening. Like, what are we doing? What are you gonna doing? You know, there's consequences to this. Like, they're gonna find you. And she adamantly kept sending text messages back saying, please pray about this. You need to come with me. I love you. Please be here. It's not too late. You can still make it to the airport. In that time frame, I had called my father and flew him out from Utah here to be with me since I was alone. And I told her, my dad's on his way. And she sent the last text message I got from her was the word okay with a red heart after I said I flew my dad out here.
I'm really glad that his dad flew down to be with him from Utah. However, this is kind of where the LDS and then the extremist beliefs cross paths. So he comes from obviously a very typical LDS family, in what I've read and the research I have done so far. You know, he has his very typical Mormon belief systems, yet does not conform to the extremist beliefs of his wife and the mother-in-law. But this poor kid, like, they're way too young for this type of stuff.
And when was that? Was that Monday?
That was Monday, probably around 11:30, 11:40 in the morning.
Braden, I'm sorry. So I would imagine this is probably the longest you've gone without talking to her since you've been married or dating even, right? Yeah.
And we, for a while, we did a business venture together where we were together 24/7 for about a year. And then moving to Phoenix is the first time that we got separate jobs, but we were really close. Every night we would spend time together. We were never apart from each other. And so it's just been an emotional roller coaster, as you can imagine, Nate. I don't even know how to process it.
So where do you think they are, and what do you think they're doing?
I don't know. What I gathered from her was that they were going to land in Boise and that they were going to go to a disclosed location. When she was packing, she adamantly told me that she needed her passport, and I took her passport out of our fireproof bag where we keep all of our documents. So that clued in my mind that maybe they're trying to go to Canada. The stuff that she purchased at the sporting goods store were all heavy winter gear, heavy wool socks, heavy hunting, insulated boots.
Meanwhile, we all live in Arizona and it's still, 80, 90 degrees during the day, up to 100 still some days. There's no need for that anywhere around here. But the passport thing is a big deal. So if you live up by Canada or even in Canada, please keep your eyes open. We just don't, there's so much area that they could be going to.
Thick hunting backpacks and stuff of that nature. And so if my guess would be if they didn't try to go to Canada, they're somewhere in the mountains, really, really remote. I believe that their purpose is just
Revival. My understanding is no, not at the time, because on Monday they flew into Boise on Monday and the court order didn't go through until Tuesday. So at that point in time, it would have just looked like a simple custody disagreement or an issue. It wasn't until Tuesday that the judge actually issued the order that he could be or needed to be returned to the father. So I think there would have been issues there. I don't think that they would have stopped him at that point in time or stopped her at that point in time. However, the court order was placed on Tuesday. So now that's a different story. And it sounds like the further into the week that they've gotten, the further off the grid that they've gone.
To try to wait this out. They're thinking that events are going to be happening soon and that they needed to be away for safety.
Does she have money?
Abby and Braden do not have children.
Does she have food? I mean, do you know how they can survive?
We had small amount of money in our apartment, about $4,000 in cash that she took. I know that her uncle, through speaking with family members, has about 150,000, I think. So they've got some money, obviously.
So he said 150,000. So I would kind of tend to lead more towards he left 100,000 for his family and other things, according to what Ben stated, and had 50,000 in cash. So they probably have, between Spring's credit cards that she has not been using, the money that Abby took, and the uncle, they probably have about $55,000 is what the figure actually is more like. That could get somebody by for a little while. There is 4 of them that are traveling together. They do have a Lexus SUV. Again, it's got pink tow hooks on the very front. It's got 33-inch tires. It is made for off-roading, and it has a dealer plate on the back. So it is a white Lexus SUV that is custom with pink tow hooks. That's going to be a huge factor in finding them. And the dealer plate on the back. Now, could they have made modifications at this point in time? Absolutely. But good things to look for.
Not enough to survive or sustain life for a long time.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah.
Revival, a lot of the extremist belief systems do not believe in banks, and they keep cash on hand. Therefore, also, if they did have money in the bank, then it can't be traced because, trying to go off grid, they don't want anybody tracking them. There's a whole lot of those extremist belief systems kind of prepare for some of the most things that a lot of us would not think about. But in this extremist belief systems, it's part of like the prepping. It's part of the doomsday. Like, it's coming, the wrath is coming, got to be prepared. But what are you going to do with money? I mean, that's always been my question, but hey.
So they've got resources. My wife took her credit cards. I pray that she uses one of those and we can get the FBI to track that transaction and try to get on a lead from that. But they had I'll show you.
But she hasn't used any bank cards yet.
No. And we're still so early in the investigation. I don't think they've been able to access any of that.
Right.
They left a box. They left a bunch of stuff with me. One of them being these emergency food bars. And so
they basically kind of have MREs on hand for food preparation.
I know they packed a bunch of those, so they have some food for the meantime, but they're obviously going to have to get something to continue to sustain life.
Did they leave those with you just because they didn't have room, or in case something happens, you would have something, or just they forgot them?
Maybe a mix of all, but honestly,
Okay.
I think it's just they ran out of room in those carry-on luggages.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is just so bizarre. I mean, it happens right in the middle of nowhere when you're not expecting it. How do you see this playing out? I mean, do you see your wife maybe coming back? Do you see them somehow realizing that the world isn't going to end? I mean, where do you foresee this? Any idea?
The big thing is my brother-in-law, Blaze, the 16-year-old that's with him. He's a smart kid. He's a straight kid. He was under the impression that they were going to a 17th birthday surprise vacation. He's not under the impression of what their actual intent is. My hope is that he realizes that that's not what's going on.
This is very true what Lorraine is saying. Revival, let me answer that first. The husband, so Brooke Hale is who had the cash on hand, which is the brother of Spring. He was going through a contentious divorce, so I don't know if he had already pulled money and his assets out. However, they did say that he had like divided money up and given it to his children and his ex-wife when he took off. It doesn't sound like Spring took any money, which would have been the mother of Blaze, the wife of Ben. Doesn't sound like she took any money, but she does have access to credit cards that Ben did not have access to. Lorraine is completely spot on. Hopefully that makes a little sense, Revival. Lorraine is extremely spot on. So a lot of the extremist beliefs, I'm in a couple of the Facebook groups. It's actually really kind of scary and disheartening to see how much fear mongering is going on right now. But they are really using what is happening in Israel and the fighting and all of this stuff to really push home these belief systems. And it is becoming very, very intense and very scary. The things I have seen, granted, I'm not outing which groups I'm in because I'm kind of in there covertly trying to pay attention to some things. But if you are in any of these groups and have paid attention, it's a little uncomfortable right now. It is very uncomfortable. And they are really starting to play into the paranoia. There is a lot of paranoia going on currently, and it is really pushing home these extremist beliefs at this point in time and really making a lot of people unsettled, and rightfully so.
On that he can either play into it a little bit or figure out a point where they're vulnerable and he can escape and try to surface somewhere and we can find him and work that direction. That's what I see for the meantime. That's my prayer, is that he can somehow get away. As for them, my wife, she told me, I've got text message here from her. This is of course when we were communicating back and forth after she had left to the airport. She said, "I love you. We will be back in a few years, and if you're still around, I'll come find you." And so their intent isn't that this is going to be short. I don't think their plan is to be gone for a while.
Wow. In case they see this, what would you say to them?
I would tell them that I love them, that I know faith and conviction is a very, very powerful thing. And sometimes we can get pulled out of what reality is. But the biggest thing that we need and our family needs is them home safe. If we can get them home safe, we can work through everything else. But safety is the most important thing. And I just want them to know that I love them, and we're going to find them. We need them home.
Do you think, Braden, that Abby or Blaze are in any danger?
I don't know. Everything that I got from the conversation with the uncle and from my wife, nothing seemed hostile at all. It seemed honestly that they were acting out of their belief and their conviction that this is what has to happen. As you know, Nate, it's a very, very powerful thing. And sometimes when people are in the flight or flight mode and they're experiencing things like this, they can sometimes make irrational decisions. So my gut feeling is that it's not harmful. It's not dangerous. It's honestly just out of pure intent that they believe that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. But again, the nature of it is really scary, especially with the kid being there and not not knowing why he's there. He doesn't know why he's there.
Yeah.
That, this poor kid, like, he genuinely. What? Hold on, sorry, I'm reading some of these comments right quick. But Braden genuinely is trying to be positive right now. You can tell he's trying to keep it together. He's trying to think the best. He's trying to just say, it's just their belief system. He's hopeful that there's no harm. But then the next moment, as he's sitting there, he's like, the fight and flight, people make irrational decisions. You can tell, like, he doesn't know. There's so many things going through their minds. I can't imagine how this feels for any of them. My heart breaks for all of them.
What can the public do? Can we do anything? I know there's people that'll watch this that want to help or want to reach out. I mean, do you guys need help?
The biggest thing is just try to get this word out as fast as possible. They landed in Boise, I believe, Friday afternoon-ish, and have made wherever they've gone from there.
So that, wait, because today's Thursday and they left Monday, right?
Correct.
So did you mean to say Friday? You said they landed Friday afternoon.
I'm sorry, Nate. I meant to say they landed Monday afternoon in Boise.
Okay.
And so that's the last known location any of us know. And so if anyone in those surrounding areas in the state of Idaho, Oregon, Washington, if they can keep their eyes open, look for the car, I'm sure that'll be identified here soon with the FBI and the authorities that are working on it. But the biggest thing is we just got to find them. I'm from East Idaho. I'm from Ammon. My wife and I lived there for the last, we moved to Gilbert, Arizona in August of 2022. But since we got married up till then, we lived right there in Ammon. And so there's a lot of people in Ammon that are going to know me. And if I could ask anything from them, I would ask for their prayers to keep their eyes open and to share this with as many people as possible so we can get them home.
And how long have you guys been married?
We got married June of 2021, so just over 2 years.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope next time we talk, Braden, that Abby's home and that, you're okay and that she's okay and everybody's okay.
I really appreciate that, Nate. And I know the platform that you have, and I think if we can get this out, we can get enough people looking for them. Hopefully we can find them as soon as possible and get them home safe.
I absolutely adore Nate Eaton. He is absolutely trying to help. Okay, let's go over here. Just one more. I want to end on this note. Let me pull this big screen for you guys. Oh, all these pop-ups. Okay, let me make sure you guys can see that. Okay, this is the missing flyer. This is just Monday. So Monday afternoon, they took off from Arizona, Phoenix Sky Harbor, which is our main airport here outside of Phoenix. They flew to Boise, Idaho. They were picked up in Boise, Idaho by the uncle, which is Brooke Hale. Brooke Hale is driving a Lexus GX 470. He has 33-inch tires on the vehicle with pink tow hooks on the front, a dealer plate on the back. Blaze Thibaudeau, however you want to pronounce it, is 6'2", 180 pounds. He is 16 years old. If you see any of this family, have any knowledge where they are at, please call Gilbert Police Department here in Idaho, or even the Boise Police. Even though Ben said they're not very helpful, they'll reroute you to, yes, they are LDS. They are 100% LDS. However, the family, the mother, Spring, Brooke, and the daughter, Abby, started really following the extremist beliefs, such as Julie Rowe. Spring has been a part of those extremist belief systems, similar to that of Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell, other people of that nature. So yes, even though they are LDS, they are definitely not the typical LDS believing system. These people are extremely paranoid. Do not approach. Please just call law enforcement if you do see them. If you are in the Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, Utah area, please share this out. Somebody's going to recognize this car. It's a newer car. The dealer plates and the pink tow hooks are two very big things. Yeah, the visions of glory, they did they did take their passports with them. That is another thing. They don't know if they're trying to head to Canada. It would almost be ideal for them to, unless they made it into Canada previous to all of this happening. The court order was issued on Tuesday, so they were able to list Blaze as a missing persons through the NCIC on Tuesday afternoon. I don't think it was really even available until Wednesday. This is all just kind of evolving now and breaking now. But if you know anything about these cases around these extremist belief systems and what people are taught in these doctrines that they use, there is absolute reason for worry here. There's a whole piece of this with the Blaze being seen as a Davidic servant, and like this whole thing is scary as shit, to be honest. It is scary as shit. It is not good. So this is Blaze here on the screen. Again, he looks older than 16. He's got a very strong jawline, dirty blonde hair, shoulder length, could be cut by now, probably in a ball cap, something of the nature. Abby, this is Blaze again. I'm going to show you guys some pictures right quick. Please zoom in on your screen if you would like to see them closer up. This is, again, Blaze. This is Brooke Hale. This is a picture of Brooke, the uncle. This is Abby. She's got long, dirty blonde hair. Abby and Braden. Braden is who we just watched talk. This is, again, his wife, Abby. She looks pretty young, long blonde hair, kind of your typical LDS looking couple, very beautiful young lady. Unfortunately, up there, she's not going to stand out because she's very typical LDS look, like the long curly hair, very little makeup. That's pretty typical. This is Blaze again, shorter hair at the time. He is 6'2", 180 pounds. He's a tall child. He does not look 16 to me. He definitely looks older. And that's part of the other issue, is making sure that people realize what they're looking for here. He plays football. That is Braden. This is Brooke. Again, another picture of Brooke Hale. Very distinct blue eyes, light eyelash or eyebrows. Unfortunately, kind of your typical, I hate to say this, but this is, and not to be like, there is a definite look within the LDS church. After living in Utah, this is your typical. Again, here is the missing persons. He is listed in NCIC. If you have any information, please contact Gilbert Police Department. Another picture of Blaze, kind of showing his height and his hair. Another one before Blaze. This is the one that's on my thumbnail. That jawline, though, his jawline is, yeah, they're very super clean cut. That's a very typical, and I'm not trying to be like downplay any of this, but there's a very typical way that Mormon families or LDS families carry themselves, and very beautiful family. Let me just say that first of all, but in those areas, they will blend in a lot because there is a lot of LDS. That's one thing, but he is tall for 16. He will be 17 on November 8th. So this is urgent. This is Spring. This is the mom. So she has some graying hair on the top, but she's kind of got dirty blonde, almost a little bit brown underneath. Very beautiful woman too. This is Ben's wife. Well, actually filed for divorce, but Brooke and her are siblings. So Brooke Hale is her sibling that they are with. Again, another picture of Abby, long blonde hair, very pretty young lady. She looks taller on the taller side too. Now she is 24, so she is not listed as a missing persons as of this point. She went willingly. They took a plane. She went willingly. The concern is, of course, all of them, but getting Blaze home and being able to enter Blaze in as a missing person is extremely important. Let's see, what else do we have? Again, Brooke Hale, here he is. He's kind of got curly hair a little bit. It's a little bit darker in this photo. So at the current time, it could be anywhere from like a reddish blonde, dirty blonde look to a little bit darker with some gray in it. All right. Is there any questions before we get off here? I'm going to end it with, I'll put Blaze's picture back on. So this is spring. So everybody knows who to look for. This right here is the missing Blaze Thibaudeau, however you want to pronounce it. This is the child we are looking for, and in my opinion is in grave danger. These are not your typical beliefs. It doesn't sound like the uncle, Brooke Hale, has any point of returning. He basically left a last will and testament and letters to his children, divided up his assets, and the rest of them just felt they needed to go. They just needed to go and get out of here. I really encourage you guys, especially if you are in the Idaho, Utah, Washington, Oregon area, please share this out. Again, the vehicle, this is going to be the huge thing. I'm continuing to say this. We are going to continue to cover it. I'm going to pull in the Julie Rowe piece because that's a huge thing that a lot of people don't understand. Brooke was in Idaho, to my understanding, bewitched. They didn't really give great background on that. So I've got to do a little bit more digging on Brooke and his situation. I don't know if he was still there. Him and his wife were going through contentious divorce. I do know that from the articles and the things that were stated. When I was starting to look into him, it was like I could find their last address, but I'm not sure where he was actually staying because him and his wife were separated. So that's another thing, but I will look further into that and get you more information. What I can find, we need to investigate the Julie Rowe piece, find out where the fuck she is, excuse me, for my French. But Julie Rowe is, in my opinion, in extreme danger that anybody has contact with her. She is out of sorts. So as long as she's not in the area, but they do have the passports on them. If you heard that, they have passports. They have about $54,000 in cash. They do have some credit cards. They are known to potentially have cell phones on them. However, they are being very cautious, which powering them down, not texting back. No responses as far as that. Sounds like Brooke has been really trying to keep Blaze away from the phone systems. One more time for a quick overview before we end this today, please share this out with your favorite creators. You don't have to share my live. Please get them talking about this. I understand many within the true crime community will not touch this because they're chicken shits that don't want to touch anything with religion. However, these children are in grave danger. And I call Abby a child too because she's only 24 years old. Unfortunately, she is extremely going through what, in my opinion, would be a faith crisis. That's without having the proper supports and all these things going on in their lives. Every one of them was going through something pretty significant besides Blaze. Like Blaze was just living his life as a 16-year-old kid. So one more time, Blaze is 6'2", 180 pounds, dirty blonde hair. He has a very strong jawline. They potentially, we don't know exactly where they're headed. They are last seen in Boise, Idaho on Monday afternoon, driving in a Lexus GX 470 with dealer plates. If you have any information, please contact the Gilbert, Arizona Police Department. There is a court order in place that Blaze is to be returned to his father, Ben, right away. So it's not parental interference. It's not any of these. This is a major deal. He's listed in NCIC as a missing child currently. The Lexus GX 470 has 33-inch tires. It is outfitted for rough roads, basically back roads kind of thing. It's got all the aftermarket stuff on it, and it has pink tow hooks in the front. Pink tow hooks. That is going to be a distinguishing mark. Those little SUV type vehicles with the pink tow hooks, you spot them very fast. Those are going to be your distinguishing marks. And the 33-inch tires with a lift, that's going to definitely stand out to people. So everybody, please keep your eye out. Please get the word out. We need to get more coverage on this. Bring Blaze, Abby, Spring, and even Brooke home. You know, these people have been indoctrinated by people like Julie Rowe and their complete ridiculous interpretations of extremist propaganda that they're pushing. And the sad thing is how many more kids are we going to have to watch die because of people like this? Julie Rowe, if you remember back, was involved in the J.J. Vallow and the Tylee Ryan situation and all of the people that ended up harmed in that situation. These people are a danger, in my opinion. And the Mormon Church, I'm calling you out once again. Until you come out and verbally address your congregation and say you don't stand by this, and finally put faces on these people and tell your congregation that this is not your belief systems and this is a complete contradiction of the Book of Mormon, which you believe in, you are complicit in this bullshit continuing to happen, because they are using the spin of the LDS doctrine to create these extremist beliefs and the fear mongering that continues to happen. And you have a duty to your congregation and the rest of the world to handle this. Who's that, Running Bear? Who's Bob? I don't know who that is. A lot of people don't understand the religion aspect of this or the extremist belief systems in this. So it's hard for people to cover, but you can cover it just like a missing persons case. Like, if you don't need to know all the ins and outs, leave that up to the people that want to research it, but just cover it. His face deserves to be out there. Oh, okay. Thank you. I didn't know who that was. I was like, there's so many channels, but all right, y'all. Rabbit, I know, is going to be covering it too this afternoon. I saw that she made a thumbnail earlier. Please get the word out. This needs more people to see it. These are people who are connected to all this extremist belief systems that we've been covering on this channel for months and months, and we will continue to do so. I hope that Blaze is brought home safe and sound. I hope that all of them are brought home. We will be continuing all of our coverage on this. They are local to me, and I do intend. Ben is not here right now. He is actually in Idaho trying to track down whatever he can. Braden is here locally to me. I don't really like bothering the families, but I will do whatever I can to help this family bring their loved ones home. I will absolutely do whatever I can. I will be following this extremely. I will find out more information on Brooke Hale and his family, and we will deep dive into the Julie Rowe aspect of it, because this needs attention. I appreciate all of you hanging out with me. I appreciate you all sharing this out, talking about it with your friends, talking about it in chats. This needs attention on it. We do not need another situation like we've seen happen so many times. And the LDS Church, I'm so disappointed in the LDS Church right now. I am so disappointed, because they have an absolute necessity to come out and say something against these people. That how many times and how many people are we going to have to be watched hurt because of these? They need to denounce this visions of glory and these extremist books. There's a whole list of them we could get into in the books that these people use for this propaganda pushing stuff. It is scary, to say the least. If you understand, I have a lot of Mormons in here. I have a lot of ex-Mormons in here that get this, and they understand the dangers. Please listen to them. For you that do not understand, this is a very concerning topic, and this is a very concerning situation that we don't have a big window of time here to make sure that these people are driven by paranoia right now and fear. And that is a very scary situation. So with that, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. I will see you guys as soon. If there's an update, I will bring it to you as soon as I find anything out. I do have contacts with a family friend. I'm not about to bring that in yet. We're in the right path, and I'm trying to offer support in any way I can. We don't want to make this into a shit show and, put out speculation about other things. We just want to bring them home, and then we can talk about all the other stuff. But please, 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 if you have a channel, use it to get the word out on this family. And with that, have a great day, y'all.